At Roadblock 2016, we get to see the blow-off of the Sasha Banks versus Charlotte feud of 2016. We've seen these girls honestly do just about everything, building back to before SummerSlam. If I think about it, I know that it was in a three-way involving Becky Lynch. We even saw these girls fighting all the way back at WrestleMania 32. What a great match. Sasha Banks, in a lot of people's minds, was one of the MVPs of WrestleMania 32, giving one hell of a performance, even though she was not involved in the finish. But Charlotte going over. Charlotte was able to keep her championship reign until right before SummerSlam, when Sasha beat her in a surprising match on Monday Night Raw that was honestly very, very good. And then from there on, they would go on to be the first women to main event a main WWE pay-per-view. I know that it was built up as being an historic night when Sasha Banks and Bayley main evented an NXT TakeOver special as the first women to ever main event a pay-per-view. But to me, honestly, I thought it meant more with Sasha Banks and Charlotte going into the WWE's Hell in the Cell pay-per-view, having a physical Hell in the Cell match, as well as main eventing that pay-per-view. I know that since then, one of the heads of creative was released, and he was one of the heads of creative that was in charge of the women's division that really pushed for that match to be in the main events. And a lot of people have maybe thought that the reason why he was released, even though the WWE said that it was for budgetary reasons, was for the fact that he was the one who asked for that to be the main event match, and it really didn't deliver. Honestly, when you look at the Hell in the Cell show itself, I mean, what would have main evented the show if it wasn't for Charlotte and Sasha Banks? If they would have put on, Kevin Owens, and Seth Rollins in their I was saying the Money Bank in their Hell in the Cell match. I mean, that was the match that Jericho ran down. He locked himself in the Hell in the Cell and basically turned it into a what's the word I'm looking for? A 2-on-1 match that just was a handicap. And who wants to see a Hell in the Cell match with two guys fighting one guy? I know that it's within the rules because of the fact that there's no disqualifications, and he used the cell for his advantage of him sneaking in after taking the referee out due to the fact that, he got shot with the fire extinguisher and was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, it sort of made it look like he sprayed him on purpose, but hey, it is what it is. And Jericho ran down, cut the referees off, locked the referees out, made it a 2-on-1, and it broke up the pinfalls and made sure that his guy won. And it's within the rules. It is what it is. But I mean, if that's the end of the pay-per-view, people are going to be pissed. Honestly, in my mind, I got taken out of the women's match with the fact that Charlotte beat up Sasha before the match happened. They were carting her off, and because of the fact that they said they were going to strip Sasha Banks of the championship, all of a sudden, Sasha gets up, gets into the Hell in the Cell, and she's ready to fight, and that makes it seem like nothing happened, even though she went through the table, and that was bad enough for her not to want to get up and fight just a few minutes ago. I'm glad that this is the blow-off. I know that it was a little bit surprising because I thought we were going to see on Monday Night Raw, they were going to tip the cards to maybe see who was going to win this. Seeing how Monday Night Raw doesn't really have a women's number one contender ready to go. I mean, Bayley seems like it would be an awesome fit, but if Sasha wins, I don't really want to see Sasha versus Bayley and two baby faces going at it. If Charlotte wins, you could do Charlotte versus Bayley, and I think that's one hell of a match. It looked like that was the direction they were going, but that Sasha Banks came back from her injury, and they pretty much pushed Charlotte versus Bayley to the back of the line, and like they weren't building it up on television at all. Emelina was supposed to debut on Raw. She ended up not debuting and used used it because of the fact that everybody was bowing down to the four horsewomen and not really caring about her debut, and it really felt like, why am I going to reward the fans when the fans don't care about me? So it almost looked like she blew it off. Which makes me think that she's going to be heel. So maybe Sasha is getting the win, but they're going to wrestle for 30 minutes. They're going to be, using the clock to their advantage. The 30-minute Iron Man match that Sasha Banks and Bayley had in NXT was spectacular. I think even in that match, I think Sasha Banks took a disqualification, giving Bayley a victory, to be able to have Bayley's knee be injured for the rest of the match, which is a very fun thing for them to do, for the heel to be able to say, I'm so much better than you, I know I can beat you, I'm going to spot you a victory to be able to have the advantage for the rest of the match. Was really fun, and it really did add something to it. If I had money, I'm betting that Charlotte wins this match because of the fact that she has the pay-per-view record of being undefeated, and I don't see her really losing that at Roadblock. I see her losing that at WrestleMania. I think that Charlotte is an awesome heel. I think that when Charlotte does turn babyface, she's going to have one hell of a run because of the fact that I think the fans want to cheer for her, and they really like Charlotte as a talent. Sasha Banks, who's wrestling as a babyface now, I think for as much as people like her, I think they're going to like her even more when she's able to be heel, a lot like when she was in NXT. So I think that these girls, once they get to the end of the road that they're on right now and they both flip-flop, I'm not looking for any double turn at Roadblock. I'm just trying to say that, when these girls are in the opposite roles, I think that people will support them and love them even more than they do now. This is going to be one hell of a match. I'm looking forward to this being the end of their feud. Even though I know that in 2017, I'll say probably before SummerSlam, we're going to see these girls wrestle at least on Monday Night Raw, if not in the pay-per-view, because of the fact that this is what it is. I'm not saying that this is going to be the Austin versus Rock of, these that are always going to be in the same neighborhood. They just don't have, they're always going to be fighting. This rivalry is not over because of the fact that they're going in different directions after Roadblock. When you go back to the days of, the Attitude Era with Rock and Austin, they had Undertaker, they had Triple H, they had a good supporting role of other main eventers for these guys to be able to fight, that still be in the main event match and be in the co-main event and still sell a pay-per-view and be around it. So the women's division will constantly be having two good women's feuds at the same time, even though they're not fighting each other. So I think there's still a lot to build off of this that's going to be very good. Put your money on Charlotte. But if Sasha wins too, I'm not going to go home unhappy.